G'day, g'day, g'day. Welcome back to Aussievision. It is Craig here, and I am joined by the lovely Fleur, as always, to talk about Portugal. How you going, Fleur?
I'm fine. I have recovered. I am all good now. But discuss this.
And a cautiously guarded expression of enthusiasm from Fleur this morning there. We have just been both watching the grand final of Festival da Canção in Portugal, and I think it's fair to say that there were some surprises. So the winner of Festival da Canção, who will now proceed to Basel to represent Portugal at Eurovision, is the Madeira-based band Napa and their song Deslocado. Fleur, I don't know what to say, so I'm going to ask, what do you want to say about this?
Um, this morning, watching this was completely wild.
Hmm.
Um, a lot of emotions went through the entire show. Well, yeah, with that interval act, I think I'm still recovering from that. But yeah, then the results happened. Eventually, they happened, and we have a very surprise winner.
Do you like the song?
I don't mind it. I don't dislike it. It was not my favorite. It was in the middle somewhere, probably the higher end of the middle, but
Mhm.
yeah, it's very middling for me.
It's the sort of song where if this had come fifth or sixth, I think we'd be having a conversation now about how nice it was of Napa to do their performance and how it was really lovely and how we'd like
Yeah,
to see them again next year, perhaps for something
yeah.
a little bit more competitive. But
Mm,
here we are, and they've won.
they've
I
won.
will say in this song's favor, when you read the lyrics or you translate them from Portuguese, I had a look at like an English and a French
Yeah.
translation, and they are quite moving. It's about the
Yes.
experience. They're from Madeira, which is of course the sort of island autonomous region off the
Yeah.
coast of Portugal.
That's where my family hails from.
There you go.
Yeah.
So and like your family, they've moved away from Madeira and they've moved to Lisbon in this case. And so the song is
Yeah.
about the feeling of dislocation that they're feeling in moving away from home and having to move to the big city to go and live their lives. So that's a great
Mm,
message. I'm very here for it.
yes.
It's very artistic. It's very
I like
well
that.
executed. Yeah, it's a lovely message. I just don't know if this is going to translate in any way, shape, or form to a Eurovision audience. And I must say I have concerns. And it's nothing against the boys. They're lovely. The song was well performed. There's nothing you can really say about it against the performance. It's just not standing out for me.
Yeah, it's a bit like the Baby Lasagna song from last year, talking about, moving from small town to the big city.
Very that.
It's
Yeah.
pretty much the same thing, but done in a lot more sort of um relatable way.
Yeah. In some ways this is quite emotive, I think. It just doesn't
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's got the stickability. I've heard it 10 plus times now, and I genuinely can't hum you the melody, which usually
Yeah.
doesn't bode well for a Eurovision setting.
Mm,
But I credit to the boys. They got stood up, they did a good job, and they got rewarded for it. And I'm
yeah.
not here to rain on that parade. So
No.
congratulations, they did a great job. Why don't we talk a little bit about some of the other results this
Yes.
morning, Fleur? So let's start with the juries, which were I don't even know what
Unhinged.
those results were, to be honest. Do you want to talk about? So we had. Let me just run through who how we went.
Yep.
So first with
Yep.
the juries was Diana
Mm.
Bellarino with the song Cotovia, which we spoke about earlier in the week and which we both liked. Then
Yeah, which we
second,
thought was a dark
very
horse. So yeah.
surprisingly, we had Jessica Pina with her song, and then third it was Fernando Daniel, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
So
Fernando.
Flo,
Yeah.
what do you make of the jury results?
Like I said earlier, just a few seconds ago, they were completely unhinged. There were times that Fernando missed out on jury votes, and there were times where Josh also missed out on jury votes, which we thought both of them would be fighting out for it. And we
Hmm.
thought Diana had a chance. Diana's won. That doesn't surprise me as much as Jessica coming in second.
Yeah, I think I feel the same way. I actually wasn't that
Mm.
surprised to see Diana Villarino at the
Yeah,
top of the jury vote. I thought that was a very credible, very memorable performance. I know it was
yeah,
Dale's favorite, for example.
yeah,
But I was surprised to see Jessica Pina coming in second. Again,
yeah,
full credit to her. I quite liked this
yeah.
performance. There's something quite hypnotic and jazzy about it, and I really liked the way that all the dancers they were sort of twinning up a little bit. I thought that was really cool. I just don't know if I expected to see it that high. But I think the main
So
feature of the sort of jury vote was just the randomness of it. There was every single juror seemed to have a completely different ranking of these songs, such that,
everyone got points. Everybody got a point.
and good for them. I'm like,
And
this was
I'm happy
really
about
fun. It
that.
was nice to see everyone getting points, but
Yeah,
the final ranking, I think I was a bit, yeah, I don't know really what to make of it, to be honest. Like Henke
yeah,
came last and then came first with the televote, which is
yes.
we can talk about that in a moment.
Yeah, we
But
will.
also Josh just seemed to end up middling with both, despite getting a really good running order, and
Mm,
despite the sort of hype that came with it. Like if you look at the comments from our preview video earlier in the week, it was all just comments about Josh. So
yeah,
I must say, I was a bit surprised, to be honest. And I think
yes.
perhaps most surprising for me was that Fernando Daniel underperformed because everything
Yeah,
seemed to be set up for him to do well here, and he just
yeah,
didn't. Um,
yeah. I yeah, I thought I agree with you. I think Fernando Daniel did underperform, but I thought Josh pulled it out of the hat. Like I love that performance. I love the white suit. I thought the camera angles were tighter. I thought he had it. I really thought he had it. And then came the results. And when he came fifth in the jury, I thought, oh no, he's not going to win now.
yeah, I gave up on him
What
halfway through the
happened?
jury vote.
Yeah.
I agree. I thought the performance was much improved tonight, and
Mm,
I still didn't necessarily think he was going to win, but I was expecting a Fernando versus Josh sort of head to head at the end
yes.
of the day,
Yeah.
and we just did not get that at
We
all.
did not get
And
it
sometimes
at
it's
all.
nice to be surprised. Let's talk quickly about the televote. So in the
Yes.
televote, I think the main point of note was that Henke came first, after coming last with the juries.
Mhm.
I mean, what do you make of that, Fleur? Just
I
get
think
more
you're
completely
more
confusing
surprised.
results.
I'm not because I know the Portuguese love their rock acts. Now Henka got through to the final based on the televote, so
Mhm,
I
mhm.
knew she was going to do well. And yeah, I've watched Festival da Canção for a few years now, and rock acts tend to do quite well in the televote.
Yeah, no, I'm not surprised that she came first with the televote.
Mm.
More the sheer disparity between the televote and the jury here.
Oh yeah,
I was
yeah,
just like,
yeah.
it was very noticeable. Like,
Mm.
I'm not someone who thinks that the televote winner always deserves to win. I think that's a bit of a
Yes,
simplistic view, but it was crazy to just see her at complete other ends of the scale in that.
yeah. There was
I,
a
yeah,
This also happened with Serbia as well.
yeah,
Akmat
true.
came third, got no jury votes, and then robbed the televote with 12.
Yeah, no, no, it's a fair point. I guess are there any acts that you particularly wanted to highlight? We've spoken
Um,
about Josh, so I think he did great. Is there anyone else?
Josh did well, but yeah, did not show on the scoreboard. Yeah, I agree. Fernando, Jessica pulled some magic out to come second in the jury. I don't know um, what happened there.
Yeah.
Diana, I think we've spoken about the main ones. Napa, yeah, there's not much else.
Diana Villarino, I think, really did deserve the good score.
Yeah,
She was on last. She was very impressive. And
yes,
every time I see this performance, I like it more. So
mm,
if we'd
yeah,
ended up with a sort of shot of Diana Villarino win, I think I'd probably be feeling a tad more sort of enthusiastic and positive
yes,
now
same,
than I
same.
perhaps am. But perhaps that brings us back to Napa. Napa is now obviously going to proceed to Eurovision. They're going to be at Basel.
Mhm.
How do you see this doing on the scoreboard in May?
Well, they've got first half of the first semi. Of course, there's a few spots that they could be slotted in, but I keep thinking back to Black Mamba. Everybody thought this was dead on arrival, and people are saying Napa could be dead on arrival, but I pull the staging out, we could be in for a surprise. I'm not
Yeah,
going to
I think
say
that's
no.
true. I think the difference now between then and now is that the Black Mamba was very dependent on juries, and
Yeah,
the juries no longer vote in the semifinals. So I must say
true.
I have
Yeah,
concerns for the prospects of
yeah,
this once we get to May. But you know what? It's not all about competition. And this
no,
was a good song. It's great that they get to show it to the whole of Europe, and there's a lovely message there underpinning it. And so
yeah,
you know what? Congrats, Napa. Very, very well deserved. And great to
yeah.
see some Madeira representation
And I
at
like to see
Eurovision.
Portugal do Portugal and send something that they want to send, and
Mhm.
they don't give a hoot what the rest of the world thinks. This is what we're sending. Deal with it, and we are
Yeah.
going to have to deal with it.
And in some years, I quite like what they're sending, and so I don't really have to deal with it. But maybe this is one
Yeah,
of the years where I just do.
yeah,
Maybe that's a good place to close off. Fleur,
I
thanks so
think
much
so.
for going on this journey with me this year. It's been lovely to follow along, even if the results were a bit of a shock at the end. Um,
Yeah,
and we'll have to wait and see how Napa does in May. Thanks so much for joining us,
yeah,
guys, and I hope you've enjoyed this national final season following it along with Aussievision. Catch you later. Bye.
yeah. Obrigada.